Edward Laos. Welcome to Travel Talk, filmed at the Peachtree Rose Marketing Studios and hosted by the hotel guide publisher, Edward Laos.
Good morning, everybody. Edward Laos here, publisher of the Hotel Guide and your host with Travel Talk. I'm really excited about today's episode. I'm here with Chef Steven McHugh of Cured. It's so exciting to have you on the show today, Steve. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Edward. Thank you for having me.
Now it's going to be a great one. We've got some connections that we're going to bring to light in why we're chatting today. But always been a big fan of you and what you're doing with Cured and in your background. So speaking of background, why don't we give our audience a little bit of knowledge about who you are and kind of how you got to where you are?
Yeah, it's a long one. Well, I was raised on a dairy farm in Wisconsin and ended up kind of at an early age getting into restaurant work and really just fell in love with the people and being around folks and serving people. I just really enjoyed and have never not been in a kitchen setting since I was 15 years old. So I ended up going to culinary school in upstate New York at the CIA, and then ended up in New Orleans where just blossomed. I mean, I went to a place that understood hospitality, a place that lives and breathes service. I mean, from 5-star restaurants to the po' boy shop on the corner. I mean, everybody just wants to make sure that you're having a good time and that you're taken care of and that you just are the most important person at that point in time. And it really taught me a lot. New Orleans taught me a lot. It still does. I mean, I still look at what's going on in that city. I still follow it very closely. A lot of my friends, a lot of people I've worked with, people I admire, and ended up really moving to San Antonio to open a restaurant for another chef, and then just fell in love with San Antonio and decided to stick around for a little bit. So here we are 15 years later.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking about going from one hospitality city to another.
Yeah.
Two of the top destinations in not probably just the United States, but in the world, particularly for its character and culinary abilities with that. Tell me a little bit about, you talk a lot about hospitality, but just how important is that to the success of a business, particularly yours?
It's everything. It really is. And we get more compliments on our service, our front of the house staff, our bartenders, the way we plate the food, the way we present the food, the timing of the food, the way it comes out of the kitchen. Everything's a cadence, everything's a rhythm, it's not scripted, but at the same time, it's for me, empathy, which is the word of the century, it seems like, but empathy is everything when it comes to running a restaurant. You have to have the ability to put yourself in the chair and say to yourself, what would I want if I was sitting there? And I think that's the most important thing, right? Is being in the moment. And I tell, if you set a bowl of soup down, you immediately look to see if there's a spoon, and I can always tell when somebody's not paying attention, right? Or is there a steak knife sitting there, or is there an empty wine glass, or did the napkin fall on the floor? What would I want if my napkin fell on the floor? Well, I'd want a new one, right? And so it's all about those things and just understanding. It's not about understanding the guests. It's just about understanding who you are as a person and what you would want, right? And I think that's the most important part of it.
No, I think that's important. And I love, talking about leadership and all that stuff. I know we're going a little topics here and there, but you're really talking about having an ownership mindset by your team versus an employee mindset. And I think that's so important in why certain companies are successful versus ones that aren't.
Yeah.
When your staff feels like this is part of my company or I'm part of this, there's a different level of expectations and hospitality that comes out.
Yeah. Yeah. A really good friend of mine that I worked with years ago, her name's Taffy Catton. She's from San Antonio. And she once told me and explained it to me. She said, when I talk to servers, I tell them that they are running their own small business. And it's up to you whether or not that table makes money. for your business. And it's such a really cool way to look at it, because you have a 4 or 5 table section, and it's up to you how you're going to maximize those tables, how you're going to seat them, how you're going to service them, how many rounds of drinks you're going to get, how many appetizers and desserts and all those things, right? And you're setting the expectation, and it's up to you. You're running your business, and it's no different in the kitchen. I tell the cooks, it's your station. You need to set it up so that you're successful. Don't set it up the way the last guy or girl did it. Set it up so it works for you. I'm going to give you all the tools, the sauces, the stocks, the meats, the carrots, whatever it is you need. But you've got to make sure your station works for you, and that you're constantly just in that flow, or you're just going to be struggling all the time. So,
yeah, that's a great point. I never thought about that, but that's very, very wise for someone to say that, because it's true. I mean, now you have an ownership mindset, and you're taking stock of that 4 top or 5 top area that you have, and it really changes your mindset when you're thinking of it that way, and not just, oh, I'm just a server at a restaurant. So,
order taker, there's order takers and there's servers, so
100%. So I know, knowing your history, knowing you a little bit personally as well, coming to Cure, going to San Antonio, there was a little bit of a health challenge that you had to overcome. Can you touch a little bit on that for our guests?
Yeah, just out of the blue, just feeling really rough one day, and went to the doctor and had a bunch of scans and tests, and came back that I had lymphoma. And that was, came back that I had a tumor, and once it was biopsied, it was discovered that I had lymphoma. So I had blood cancer, and sounds like an odd thing to get, right? Cancer of the blood. Wow, okay. But it's basically inflammation, and understanding what those triggers are for your body. And so I've learned a lot about that. It was quite a scare. I'm grateful that I was able to do my treatment here in San Antonio. I had a great team, a really amazing doctor. Yay, Roger Lyons. Just a really great man who, one of those people who wanted to talk about food more than he wanted to talk about medicine, which was great, So we had great conversations, and still do to this day. But yeah, very, very lucky that I was already here in San Antonio, moving here to San Antonio, and was able to basically come to a place that, knows how to kick cancer in the ass. So it was a blessing. It really was.
Well, that's good. And like I said, I wanted to touch on that a little bit for this episode, because I think everybody has struggles, whether it's health or finances or whatever. And it's sometimes I don't ask those questions to my guests, because you just talk about all the good stuff. But there's always been, challenges to get to the level that you're at, if anyone who's successful in business. And so I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. And I think, I lived in New Orleans during Katrina. I remember when the oil spill happened. A few years ago, we all went through our own version of Katrina with the pandemic. We all had to figure it out. It was a very scary time, and we utilized those things to kind of continue to grow and pivot and better ourselves or better our businesses. And I think if we don't, we're dinosaurs, and we're not going to make it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that 100%. Even out of challenging situations, good things can come out of it if you're looking for them. So I applaud you on that. So let's switch a little bit from the business side of things. And I always like to ask my guests these 2 travel questions, because we are a travel show. What are a couple of your favorite travel destinations that you've been to?
I love the south of France. I love the south of Spain. Granada in particular was one of my favorite cities I've ever been to. It was just so even keeled. And, I think anywhere, I think every country, I don't know why, but the south is better, right? I've been to Lisbon. I've been, I lived in New Orleans. I grew up in southern Wisconsin. I just think the south is where it's at, right? I think, but no, I absolutely love Brussels. Was another one of those cities that just grabbed me, and it was one of the. We all go to those whenever we're on vacation. Doesn't matter if we're at we're hanging out in Burney or we're in Paris. Everywhere we go, we always think, "Could I live here?" You know. And Brussels was one of those places where I was like, I could live here. I could just meld right into this city and I wouldn't stick out. It just was one of those places. But yeah, I think I, I haven't spent much time in Mexico. I want to spend more time down there. I've always been kind of a European traveler. Love Ireland, but I think going forward, I want to get Oaxaca on the list, Mexico City, just continue to explore the world.
That's awesome. So do you have any other bucket list travel spots besides those two in Mexico?
I've never, I love the beach. I love staring out into the ocean and feeling small, but I've never gone down to any islands. I've always wanted, so I need to get down, do a little Puerto Rico, go down to Jamaica. I've never done any of that. I've never been an island person. I don't know why. I tend to travel on my stomach, and that's why I think I always end up in Europe, because I just kind of crave that, the cured meats and the charcuterie and stuff like that. So, but I'm at that point in my life where I just want to go somewhere and relax and have a good drink, and that's kind of all I need.
Yeah, I think we're very much the same. I've always had those choices of, would you rather go hang out at the beach or go skiing? And I'm like, I gotta have the beach. I could just chill and just, like you said, I like your expression there. You look out to the ocean and feel the smallness of who you are in this world. Because I mean, you look when you're at a great beach and you're just looking out and you hear the crackling of the waves as they're hitting, and you're just like, this is just peaceful. Or it can be. Obviously, if there's a million people around you, that's not so peaceful. But but in theory, it's always a good thing. So
you see a massive oil tanker way out there, and it looks this big, and you're like, I'm not such a big deal in this world. I need to not take myself so serious all the time. So
yeah, I think as you get older, you start learning those things as well, and being a business owner. And going through some of the stuff that we have, particularly you and Katrina, and then obviously both of us, through the pandemic and all that stuff, you start understanding the frailty of your life, but also the size of who you are, and and the importance of what you're trying to create and the legacy you're trying to build. So we got a few minutes left here. Any final thoughts on what people can expect from you or Cured for the rest of the year? And also, how can they find you? What's the best way to connect with the restaurant or you?
Yeah. So obviously I'm at the restaurant 6 days a week here at Cured, and we're open 7 days a week. We do brunch on Saturdays and Sundays, dinner 7 days a week. And we're at curedatpearl.com. We're located at the Pearl, beautiful setting, beautiful place, just surrounded by talent and amazing restaurants. I also do some consulting for the San Antonio Spurs with their private club, which is really fun. If you happen to be a member and want to come out and say hi, I'm out there at least once a week, just hanging out with the team. And then our cookbook, which came out about a year ago now, is also called Cured, and it lends a bit of insight into really just how we cook here and all the amazing things that we create, from our charcuterie items to our pickles, mustards, marmalades, ferments, smoked items, all that. So we really had a lot of fun creating that book, and just like I said, showing a little insight into who it is we are on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, no, it's been a while since I've been there, but you're getting me excited about it. I need to make my way back there, and so for all of our listeners and guests out there, you're ever in San Antonio, Cured, definitely at the Pearl is the place to be. You got to put that on your travel list when you're coming into the Alamo City. I've been there. He didn't pay me to plug this part of the episode, but it is darn good. And you're just making me want to go back a little sooner. So Steve, it's been amazing having you on the episode today. Thank you for sharing your personal journey and some of the wisdom in how your restaurant is so successful.
I appreciate it, Edward. I really do. It's great to see you.
Likewise. To all of our listeners, readers out there, you know the drill. Follow us at thehotelguide.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and Spotify. This is going to have some great feedback, I know, out there. We'll have Steve's contact information in the comments. But until next time, as we always say, travel, make memories, and everyone out there, please be safe. Take care.